Spiritual Manthan.
Hey there, fellow journeyers. Welcome to today's deep dive into a topic that affects us all, our good old friend and sometimes foe, the ego. Now, before you start picturing a superhero showdown, let's unravel the layers of this intricate force that often stands between us and true fulfillment. So, grab a comfy seat, because we're about to embark on a journey of self-discovery. Understanding the ego, unraveling the intricacies. Now, let's dive deeper into the realm of the ego, that elusive force that often plays a leading role in the theater of our lives. Imagine it as a playlist of formidable enemies, each track representing a facet of your psyche that can stand in the way of your success and fulfillment. At its core, the ego is not your arch-enemy, but a complex character with an inflated sense of self-importance. It's like that friend who hogs the spotlight at a party, making every interaction about them. When the ego takes center stage, it's akin to donning blinders that shield you from your weaknesses, hindering your progress, and preventing you from realizing your true potential. Eckhart Tolle, the spiritual luminary, once offered a profound insight. Your ego is your self-image created and maintained by your mind. Picture it as a self-portrait painted by your thoughts, desires, fears, and attachments. This self-image becomes a construct, a version of yourself that you present to the world, often clouded by the lens of egoic desires and fears. In this ego-driven narrative, feedback and constructive criticism become unwelcome guests. The ego, in its desire to protect this constructed self, becomes resistant to any form of input that might challenge its carefully crafted image. It's here that relationships, both personal and professional, start to bear the weight of the ego's resistance. Family ties strain, social connections dwindle, and most significantly, the ego becomes an impediment to your personal growth. The heart of the matter lies in the illusion of separation that the ego perpetuates. It erects invisible walls, making you believe that you are separate entities, disconnected not only from each other, but also from the vast, interconnected web of life. This illusion fuels a relentless pursuit of personal gain and superiority, leading to conflicts, unhappiness, and a pervasive sense of emptiness. But it's not just about the external ramifications. The ego turns inward, breeding an insatiable need for validation. It's like having a constant itch that can never be fully scratched. The ego fuels comparison and judgment, creating a loop of discontent that becomes difficult to escape. Breaking free from this egoic prison requires a fundamental shift in perspective. Imagine transitioning from a me focus to a we perspective. It's about engaging in acts of kindness, volunteering time, or simply lending a listening ear to someone in need. By extending yourself beyond the boundaries of your ego, you begin to unravel the joy of connection and dissolve the illusion of separation. However, holding on to the ego comes at a great cost. As eloquently put by John O'Donoghue, the ego is the false self born out of fear and defensiveness. The ego thrives on control, fearing uncertainty and resisting change. It clings to outcomes, people, and situations, believing that it can orchestrate and manipulate every aspect of life. This constant need for control only serves to create anxiety and severely limits your capacity to experience true freedom and inner peace. The remedy lies in surrendering and trusting in the natural flow of life. Picture yourself caught in a turbulent river, desperately trying to swim against the current. The exhaustion, the overwhelming force, it's only when you surrender and let the river carry you that you experience profound relief and trust. In the same way, surrendering to the flow of life can transform it from an adversary into an ally. Understanding the ego is like peeling back the layers of an intricate onion. It's not a straightforward battle against an external enemy, but a nuanced exploration of the forces within. The ego thrives on attachment, whether to people, possessions, or identities. It falsely believes that these attachments define your worth and provide lasting happiness. However, this attachment becomes a chain, binding you to a perpetual cycle of longing and disappointment. To find true inner peace, you must release these attachments and embrace the inherent impermanence of life. Just as the seasons change, people and circumstances evolve, and resisting this reality only leads to suffering. Cultivate a mindset of impermanence, appreciating the present moment without clinging to outcomes. It's not about becoming indifferent, but about cherishing the beauty of each experience without being tethered to it. The illusion of separation breaking down the walls. Now let's unravel the tangled web woven by the ego's illusion of separation. Picture yourself in a world where everyone is living in different galaxies, disconnected from one another and the vast tapestry of life around them. This illusion becomes the breeding ground for a relentless pursuit of personal gain and superiority, sowing the seeds of conflicts, unhappiness, and that gnawing sense of emptiness. The ego doesn't just wreak havoc externally. It's a silent saboteur of your internal landscape. It fuels comparison, judgment, and an insatiable need for validation, creating a loop of discontent that becomes increasingly difficult to escape. Breaking free from this illusion requires a paradigm shift, a realization that we are interconnected beings, threads woven into the vast universe of life. As Eckhart Tolle wisely suggests, shift your focus from me to we. Engaging in acts of kindness, volunteering, or simply extending a listening ear to someone in need. These acts expand your horizon beyond the ego's boundaries, unraveling the joy of connection and dissolving the illusion of separation. Hold on though, because it's not just about external relationships. The ego creates an internal separation, a divide between your constructed self and your authentic essence. Feedback and constructive criticism become adversaries, unwelcome guests, threatening the carefully crafted image the ego presents to the world. In this internal strife, relationships strain, personal growth stagnates, and the ego becomes the barrier to your own greatness. The cost of ego, a heavy price to pay. Now, let's talk about the hefty price tag that comes with holding onto your ego. John O'Donohue's words echo with truth. The ego is the false self born out of fear and defensiveness. It's not just a benign entity, it's a voracious consumer of your mental and emotional energy. The ego thrives on control, fearing uncertainty, and resisting change. It clings to outcomes, people, and situations, convinced that it can orchestrate and manipulate every aspect of life. But here's the catch: the more you grasp for control, the more anxiety you breed, and the narrower your capacity to experience true freedom and inner peace becomes. Imagine being caught in a web of your own making, each strand woven with the threads of fear and defensiveness. The need for control becomes a relentless cycle, trapping you in a maze of your own creation. It's like trying to grasp water, futile and exhausting. The antidote lies in surrendering and trusting the natural flow of life. Picture yourself caught in a turbulent river, desperately swimming against the current. The exhaustion, the overwhelming force, it's only when you surrender and let the river carry you that you experience profound relief and trust. In the same way, surrendering to the flow of life can transform it from an adversary into an ally. This surrender is not a sign of weakness. Rather, it's a recognition of the inherent wisdom in the natural order of things. The river of life becomes your ally, guiding you with a gentle force that propels you forward. It's a shift from constant resistance to a harmonious dance with the rhythm of existence. Attachment, the chains that bind. Now, let's untangle the complex web of attachment, the ego's favorite security blanket. Whether it's people, possessions, or identities, the ego clings to these attachments, falsely believing that they define your worth and provide lasting happiness. However, here's the paradox: attachments become chains, binding you to a perpetual cycle of longing and disappointment. Attachments are like anchors in the sea of life. While they may offer a sense of security momentarily, they weigh you down and limit your ability to navigate the vast ocean of experiences. Picture yourself sailing through life, dragging heavy anchors that hinder your journey. To find true inner peace, you must release these attachments and embrace the inherent impermanence of life. Everything, just like the seasons, is subject to change. People evolve, circumstances shift, and resisting this reality only leads to suffering. Cultivate a mindset of impermanence, appreciating the present moment without clinging to outcomes. This doesn't mean becoming indifferent or disengaged. Rather, it's about cherishing the beauty of each experience without being tethered to it. Imagine yourself as a lotus flower, blooming in muddy waters, fully present and aware of the transient nature of life. Embracing impermanence, the dance of transformation. Now, let's explore the concept of impermanence as the very fabric of life, ever-changing and dynamic. Engaging in activities that ground you in the present moment, be it meditation, yoga, or simply observing nature, becomes your portal into the dance of transformation. Impermanence is not about becoming numb to the fluctuations of life, but about embracing the beauty of the ever-changing landscape. It's like watching the seasons unfold, appreciating the unique colors each one brings. By cultivating an attitude of curiosity and wonder towards the evolving nature of life, you become a participant in the grand symphony of existence. Remember, impermanence is not a harsh teacher, but a gentle guide. It teaches you to cherish each moment, finding joy in the dance of transformation. Instead of clinging to attachments, imagine yourself as a traveler, reveling in the unfolding landscapes, unburdened by the weight of expectations. So, my fellow adventurers, we've navigated the intricate terrain of understanding the ego, its illusion of separation, the cost it extracts, and the chains of attachment. In the next chapters of our exploration, we'll delve into surrender, humility, and the transformative power of letting go. Until then, keep peeling back the layers, keep embracing the dance of life, and remember the journey towards greatness begins when you let go of your ego and embrace the authentic essence within. Surrender, riding the current of life. Now, let's unravel the profound art of surrender, a practice that involves letting go of the need for control and trusting in the natural flow of life. Picture yourself caught in the currents of a turbulent river, desperately swimming against the relentless force. The exhaustion, the struggle, this is the plight of the ego, trying to orchestrate every aspect of life. But what if, in a moment of exhaustion, you choose to surrender? Imagine releasing your grip, allowing the river's force to carry you. In that surrender, a profound sense of relief and trust emerges. The river transforms from an adversary into an ally. Life, much like that river, has its own current. The ego's constant need for control only creates anxiety and limits your capacity to experience true freedom and inner peace. Surrendering doesn't mean giving up. It means acknowledging the wisdom in allowing life to guide you. Observe how your ego resists or clings to situations. Cultivate an attitude of acceptance and trust in the unfolding of life. It's like stepping into the flow of a river, allowing it to carry you gracefully. Surrender becomes a powerful ally, leading you to a space of tranquility amidst the ever-changing currents. Humility, the unsung hero. Now, let's shine a light on the unsung hero in this narrative: humility. C.S. Lewis once beautifully remarked, "Humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less." It's not about diminishing your worth, but shifting the spotlight away from the ego. Humility becomes the antidote to the ego's grandiosity. It's the quiet acknowledgement that there is wisdom beyond the constructed self. In the journey of surrender, humility plays a pivotal role. Instead of trying to control outcomes, humility invites you to be open to the lessons life presents. Picture humility as a gentle breeze, guiding you with grace. It's the understanding that you are a part of something greater, and true power lies not in asserting dominance, but in the ability to collaborate with the forces around you. Rumi, the mystic poet, encapsulated this beautifully. Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself. Wisdom arises from humility, from recognizing the limitations of the ego's desires and the expansive nature of the authentic self. The journey within, a personal transformation. As we navigate the intricacies of surrender and humility, remember that this journey is not about changing the world, but about changing yourself. It's an inner odyssey, a personal transformation that unfolds within the chambers of your own heart and mind. Imagine a landscape within you, where the currents of surrender and the gentle breeze of humility shape the terrain. It's a landscape free from the heavy burdens of egoic desires, and a fertile ground for the seeds of authentic growth to blossom. A life beyond the ego. Life, much like a river, flows with its own rhythm. Surrendering to that rhythm doesn't diminish your strength, but allows you to glide effortlessly through the currents. Humility doesn't weaken your worth. It amplifies your connection to the vast symphony of life.